So hello, welcome to our first Technovation webinar, and just a general overview of the Technovation program and what we're doing here in Massachusetts to support it. My name is Rachel Nicole. I am the regional ambassador for Technovation here in Massachusetts, but I actually primarily am a program director for the Mass TLC Education Foundation. Mass TLC is the Massachusetts Technology Leadership Council, and the Education Foundation works to connect that membership of close to 400 or 500 companies to the education process to make it more meaningful, particularly in the space of computer science. So we don't actually run our own programs. We actually hook into good programs that we think are worth supporting and making stronger here in Massachusetts. And Technovation is one of them. So Technovation is, as you may know, is an international entrepreneurial app building challenge for girls 10 through 18. So it's a very interesting program that of experiential learning where the girls involved will probably touch on a lot of things they would never do in school normally, and a lot of very useful concepts. So that's why we think it's a really great program, and we like supporting it, and our membership likes supporting it, and hopefully you will be a part of it and support it too. So moving on, some official business. So there we have the Mass TLC Education Foundation and our hashtag, in case you're feeling really frisky and you want to tweet about how awesome this webinar we are. And then Technovation, at Technovation. And of course, we have a hashtag that we like to use. If you go into Twitter and you put in Technovation MA, you'll see a lot of activity. So that's been going on from last year. So, and we tend to use that a lot so that we can storify the season and review it later for fun and excitement. So also a thank you to our sponsors, Platinum sponsors Cisco, Verizon, and the Verizon Foundation, Amazon Robotics, and Raytheon, and Kronos actually just came on today. Kronos Engineering just came on today as another gold sponsor. I have to update this already. Yay! Okay, moving on. Oh, if you want to say thank you to any of them, that's cool too. All right, so Technovation has three primary roles. When you go to the website, and we'll do that in a little bit, you'll see there's three primary roles that you can register as. Okay, there's student team member, which is the girls themselves, again 10 to 18. Though to be honest, we had a team last year that was comprised of 7, 8, and 9-year-olds. So I don't think they look more for those who are too old than those who are too young. So if you have a couple younger kids involved, if your team doesn't care, I don't think Technovation cares, and we're certainly happy to have them around. In fact, at the showcase last year, the Clever Cats, which was the team of 7, 8, 9-year-olds, got a little standing ovation because all the other teachers and coaches wanted them recognized. So we did that. There is an online curriculum that is based upon the concept that you have no experience whatsoever in any of these concepts, and we'll take a look at that. And so you. Obviously, if you have some experience with coding or with any of the entrepreneurial aspects of things, and we'll go into that in just a second, that doesn't hurt. But it is based upon the concept of you know nothing about any of this and you want to learn it. And again, the multitude of roles, full entrepreneurial experiential learning. So the thing is that the curriculum starts with ideation, moves into market analysis, then there's of course the coding, UX, UI. Writing a business plan, and also doing a pitch video. And so the thing is that in the team of 3 to 5 girls, not everyone's going to be the coder, and not everyone has to be. That's the point. But everyone has to work with the coder, and the coder has to work with everyone else. That's the point of it. That's my dog in the background. Sorry about that. One second, please. All right. So the thing is that they all have to learn to work with the coder, and the coder learns to work with them. But there is a split in the skill sets. And and they all learn from each other and learn to work together. Then there's the mentors. Those are the adult team leadership, teachers, parents, community leaders, and of course, industry professionals. Depending on the type of mentor you want to be, you can either commit to a full season with one team or even more than one team, depending on your time, or you can be a subject matter expert, which is a new program we're working on this year. And then the third is a judge. So the judge is strictly something that we need at the end of the season, which would be next May, where you do online scoring for 2 weeks and then go to the showcase to finalize your scores when you meet the teams. So depending on the level, as an adult, depending on the level of commitment that you have time for, you can find something. Because for some people, even the judging works best. Others want to get more involved, and some really want to get in deep. That's the kind. So it depends. Whatever you want, you can find a space here to contribute, and all the contributions are valuable to us. So going into the mentor roles just a little bit deeper. Technovation mentors, a style guide. So the coaching mentors. In the past, we had separate categories of coach and mentor, and then they combined it all as one mentor role. But there are still sort of differentiations in how people mentor. So the coaching mentor definitely commits to one team for the season, which runs 12 to 20 weeks, and we can go into the schedule in just a little bit. And it's usually a teacher, parent, or community leader. Basically, someone who's going to be the driving force behind the team and keep them on schedule. And again, generally because the teams start in schools or community centers, it's going to be that teacher, that educator. But again, we've had teams where the parent was the coaching mentor, and it was a bunch of neighborhood friends who maybe went to all different schools, but they wanted to do it together. And that's perfectly fine. You don't have to go to all one school. In fact, I've done things where I connected a girl from one school where there was no team and found her a space in a school nearby where they could take her on, and it worked out very well. So you don't all have to be from the same school. You don't have to be from the same city. You can the girls can just form a team of 3 to 5. Then there's the industry mentor, and that's and there's 2 different ways that you can be the coach if you want to be, because that has worked out in certain situations, especially with some of the older teams, the older girls who've maybe done it before, is that they might just form a team and they go find a professional to work with them. And so you might be a little more involved, but they're also a little more autonomous too. So it can work that way. How it often works if an industry mentor commits to a team is that you basically meet with them for like maybe half hour a week. So basically the teams will have like a set up hourly, weekly meeting or 2, and then the industry mentor will either visit or visit virtually, and that works quite well to visit virtually to review stuff with them and go over what their goals are and things of that sort. So there's that aspect. And we're trying something new. We've seen something work really well for certain select teams and schools or groups of having subject matter experts. And how does that work? So what that is that coaching mentor who's the teacher or the educator or the community leader who's basically organizing the girls and keeping them basically on track and going through the curriculum with them. But then they organize to bring in a subject matter expert in certain areas. So such as when they're talking about marketing, they have a marketing person come in to talk to them about what they really do and what the expectations are and what they're trying to accomplish and why. And this actually, I think, is very appealing to many of the industry, to many people in industry, because unfortunately, the reality of you being able to meet every week on Tuesday at 3:30 is going to be hard, because a lot of these things are done as after school clubs. They're not necessarily done on weekends. They're not necessarily done later evening. They're done sort of just after school as an after school club. And so that becomes hard for the mentor. The other aspect is, let's just say you are a marketing expert, and then they get into the coding section of the curriculum. How much can you help them? Now, in some cases, you might actually, if you work someplace, you could bring in someone to help them, a coworker or a friend who might be experienced in that area. But I do think that it actually, but that there is sort of that uncomfortable space of they're asking you for help and it's outside what you know. So the kind of thing where if the teacher or the team is scheduling a subject matter expert based upon where they are in the curriculum, that can actually work better. it's a little more work, and we know it's not actually going to be the easiest thing to do, but we've seen so much success and satisfaction from both the teams and the mentors that it's definitely worth working on building the program to have that option. And so we'll have more information on that later once we figure out exactly how that's going to work. But I am going to have someone helping me with getting the teams and the mentors connected, because we figure there's going to be a rough spot. Okay, so again, assisting teams as requested and schedule allows. So the kind of thing is where you might not be able to meet with a team every Tuesday for 12 weeks at 3:30, but you might be able to meet with the team that one Tuesday at 3:30 to talk about what you know. And the kind of thing is that if another team contacts you and it works for your schedule, you could always go do your lecture or do your presentation for that other team too. And of course, there's always the option that if you wanted to join a team, like you did a lecture for a team and you just thought they were awesome and you just like the energy of that particular school or those girls or whatever the case may be, then you can just feel free to jump on and join that team. Are there any questions at this point? Any? I tend to.
A good example, so you focused a lot on coding and programming.
Mm-hmm.
What are example challenges and what levels of engineering are incorporated in those challenges?
Oh, so the coding is actually, it's using MIT App Inventor. That's what's supported by the system, by the curriculum. But in actuality, you can do it in whatever you want. And again, it's all based upon starting at beginner level. I got no experience. So,
okay. But the focus is strictly coding, or are there mechanics, electronics? I mean, it's what other engineering?
So the thing is, like last year, our two winners both did IoT apps. One was for tracking lobster traps, and the other one was for following the progress of beehives. So there was some aspect of having something that was, physically mechanical, engineered for the lobster traps, but there was an app that connected to it so that you could follow and monitor your lobster traps, that kind of thing. So there is, as far as engineering, you are building a mobile app. It's a mobile app challenge, but there's nothing wrong with, like, if there's a robotic aspect or an engineer or some other form of engineering, mechanical engineering aspect too, in your app is controlling that or interacting with that for the purpose of what you're doing.
I see.
But it is basically mobile app building.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So, about today's event or info webinar, and we have. So the thing is that the season officially runs, the 12-week season officially runs January through April, and a couple of years ago, I think it's a couple of years ago, they basically backed it up because it is such an intensive curriculum. They backed it up that they have a 20-week version and a 12-week version. So there's some teams that might technically start in November because they start a little earlier. It's the same curriculum. It's just drawn out a little further. So,
can I ask a question?
Sure.
This is Tara. It's based on the timeline, kind of parallel to, I'll say, spring semester, depending on the individual school, public or private. Do they get academic credit in addition to just, participating in the program and the appropriate support and, accolades? Or is it considered a extracurricular activity?
It's an extracurricular activity. Well, okay, this depends. I'd say for most of the high schoolers, it's extracurricular and really good for their college applications.
Right. I get that part.
But for the middle schoolers, because there's a little more flexibility in what they do, I know a lot of middle schoolers actually did it as it was a class. So it just sort of depends. The thing is that if it was done at a charter school, which has a little more flexibility, they might also do it as a class, as their computer science class. The thing that sometimes is problematic for schools to do it as a class is the fact that it's girls only.
Right.
So But the thing is I've also pointed out, doesn't mean the boys can't do it too. They just can't officially compete. But so, I mean, there's that. I mean, and there have been questions that came up from coaches or teachers in the past that, they had a class and the kids it was a mixed team of boys and girls, and they wanted to work together and they didn't care. They just wanted to do it. And I said, you know what? You can do it. You can't officially submit it, but you're more than welcome to come to the showcase and have a spot and show off the work that you did. So, trying to be very supportive of the fact that, they want to do the project. Well, let's support that. But as far as school credit, that would depend on like actual academic credit. I can't speak to that, but I'm going to guess that most of it that I know, especially at the high school level, is done after school program. So that I don't think there is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But obviously, if there was credit associated with it, it'd be helpful to know if there were additional sort of requirements of a coach, a mentor, or a judge. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. No. Basically, it's because it's an interesting thing because generally the coaches are computer science teachers. And the mentors come from, I mean, we have HR people who are mentors, but they're great because they're really great at project management. And that's what often is the most needed. So it just depends everyone can, because of the wide variety of skill sets needed for this, because it is a full entrepreneurship program. It's an entrepreneurship that deals with the tech of app building, but that entrepreneurship is just as important as the tech aspect. So basically anybody out there can bring something to this. But the thing with the subject matter expert is to allow people a little more flexibility to bring what their expertise is. So someone who's a project manager might be best suited to actually stick it out with the team all the way through, because that's really what might work best for everybody involved if it works for their schedule. Whereas someone who's really truly like a market analyst or, a VC of some sort who deals with business plans, they might be better for a focus, a subject matter expert situation. It just sort of depends on the person. And again, it doesn't mean that just because you're a market analyst doesn't mean you can't help the team stay on track and give them professional feedback based upon your experience, even if they're talking about coding. Does that answer your question at all? I hope so.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I just wanted to understand, because again, once if it had an academic component, I can credit in whatever school they may attend. That just adds to whatever level of responsibility a coach, a mentor, a judge might have. That's all.
You could consider doing it as an independent study for girls. Then your school might accept academic credit.
Mm-hmm. So
you could treat it that way. You probably won't get away with treating it as a class, like she said, because it's just girls. But independent studies could feed into it.
Yeah, it just depends on the school and where your flexibility is. So anyhow, moving into, we have a schedule of events, as you can see, and the next one that might be of interest for those of you who might want to get a little ahead of the game, we have an App Inventor workshop coming up November 4th at Roxbury Innovation Center, and that's sort of, it's open to anybody and everybody. It is sort of focused on getting teachers or coaching mentors up to speed before Computer Science Education Week and before Technovation kicks off. So you have a little, if you don't know App Inventor, you might have a bit of a step up and a little bit of a lead in before you get started. But again, it's not actually necessary, but we do provide that workshop so that, and of course, if there's girls who want to come, they can certainly come to that too. And another info webinar. So if you know anyone else who might be interested in finding out more, there's another info webinar. The big thing is the kickoff December 9th. That's our big event to get the season going, and it's just a fun event with keynote speaker on some aspect of the curriculum. So we've had a UX speaker, we've had a business, a startup business speaker. We had those so we always try to pick someone who deals with the various aspects of the curriculum. And then an ideation exercise where the girls sort of work together with flashcards and, on the fly, here's your 4 words, now come up with an app and draw pictures and then present it. So they go from having walked in the door to presenting in front of their peers in the space of half a day. So then we have an official App Inventor workshop for during the season. That's the last Saturday in January, and that will be at MIT. The business plan and pitching workshop, always a great one because that seems to be a pain point for a lot of teams, is this area. Looking at trying to figure out the best date. Last year I lucked out that the private schools and the public schools had sort of a one weekend where no one was on vacation. This time I may not be lucky. I'm just trying. And then submission deadline April 25th, and mid-May will be the showcase where we have all the teams that want to, certainly the ones that finished, but any team that really wants to is more than welcome to show off what they've done, and that's where the judging is completed. So that's in a nutshell. So a couple things here. Technovation website, registration, curriculum, and submission, and the Mass TLC Ed Foundation website, which has our event calendar and logins. So let's go to, we'll go to this, there we go. So here we go. This is the main site, and if you want to get started, so you see there's student, mentor, ambassador, and parent. So basically, again, we talked about student, mentor, ambassador, who is me. So that's generally not going to be something you apply for, because then you're sort of running the region. If you are interested in being an ambassador or helping out, you can always let me know, but generally you'll skip that. And of course, I think parent is something new, but I guess it's also to keep, because the parents may not be actually mentoring or leading the teams, but they want to be supporting and kept in the loop. So you can register as a parent to be included in all the blasts and everything that's going on with Technovation. Later, as they get closer to the end of the season, like as in the April 25th submission date, probably April, you'll see another button show up here called Judge, and that's where the judges would register. One thing to note, when you register as a mentor, you're going to have to do a background check. So it's an online background check. If you have issues with doing it online, I think there is another option where you can connect with them directly. But if you do have an issue, please feel free to let me know. But they work very hard to keep it secure. And but again, because you're working with kids, they want to make sure they have to do a background check. Students also will have to do a permission from their parents to participate. So that's also sort of an extra step that has to get done. That just pointing that out because these have been holdups in the past for registration, and we don't want to be held up. We want to get going. So just as an FYI, if you have any questions, you can certainly contact Technovation or myself, and I can step in and help out. Going back to, I want to go to our website. Okay, so let's see.
I'm not, I don't have access to the computer at this moment, so I can't see what you're doing. When is the application deadline for the World
to register? So I think registration deadline is somewhere in like late February, early March. I try to encourage people, so you'll see that I'll have a lineup of surfaces at the kickoff and possibly at the January workshop to make sure to get people to register. And also, just as an FYI, if you register as an individual, you're not actually committed to doing anything yet. It's just getting you in the system. So if you end up deciding not to do it, that's okay. Yes.
So this is what I was talking from the kids' perspective, students, because I'm good friends with some members of the board at Science Club for Girls. And love to to them. I'm not sure that you haven't done it already, so forgive me.
Science Club for Girls are the ones who. Science Club for Girls are the ones who they won the region last year with the lobster traps.
Okay.
So they're involved.
So they were targeted relatively. Okay. So they're actively.
But the thing is, no, because we've had, so the joke around, because Massachusetts has different vacation schedules than, say, the rest of the country. I'm from New Mexico and California. And so the February vacation week and the April vacation week was completely like new to me when I got here.
Right.
And so, so the thing is that we were, it was almost like a given that any deadline with Technovation was going to happen during a vacation week. It just seemed to work that way. So there was one year that the registration for, the deadline for just basic initial registration was the Sunday of February vacation week. So that was a fun weekend. So now they've sort of opened it up, and they tried, I think, one year of having no deadline, but then people just sort of never did. So they have to have a deadline, but they try to give you a lot of space to do it. And honestly, by the end of February, you either know if you're doing it or not, right? Because it ends pretty soon and there's a lot of work to do. That's actually another thing to bring up. Let me just scroll down here. If you go to massteelcef.org, for those who aren't looking, massteelcef.org/technovation, and if you just go to the main site, you'll see a button for going to see Technovation. But there's an event calendar, and just under the event calendar on the left-hand side is a info sheet that you can download. So you can certainly send this to, you can download it for yourself. You can forward it to other people who might be interested. It has a lot of this information that we're talking about today. So again, the time, and on there is actually very important. Actually, I'll open it up. Why not? So here's our document. But what's the time commitment? The time commitment is pretty, it starts off pretty easy because it's just ideation and getting your bearings, but then it starts to build up. And I'll see if I can log in a second and show it to you. But the thing is that generally the teams meet for 1 to 2 hours a week, like after school, depending on how their schedules work. And generally the team members, as in the girls, are going to have to do a little bit of work over the weekend before the next meeting. And that amount of work is going to increase over time. And as it says, the outside work can add 1 to 4 hours weekly, and many teams spend full weekends and even every weeknight finishing up their projects for the deadline. So as with any deadline of a project, those last couple weeks can be a little intense. As far as mentors are concerned, depending on the type of mentor, so the thing is, again, the coaching mentor isn't necessarily doing all those hours, but they might, as things get closer to the deadline, want to be available a little more. But generally what it works out is that you're organizing the meetings during the week, after school, whatever the case is, you organize the official weekly meeting or two, and then the girls are expected to do some work over the weekend. It's your choice if you want to help them or whatever the case is, or join them or whatever, however you want to do it. But the idea is that you set up the official meetings and they're supposed to, whatever your schedule is, work on stuff between those meetings. And again, the industry mentors, again, if you're committed to if you decide to sign up and stay with the team for the entire length of the season, you might meet with them and check in with them, at the official meeting or meetings as it may be for, give or take 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it will, but I also know some mentors who never logged in for the official meetings during the week, but would actually meet with them at the library on the weekend. That worked better, and that worked for everybody. So again, it's very flexible to what works for you, but realize there is a time commitment, and it can get a little intense sometimes. So let's see if I can log in. Actually, I think that we'll let's see. There we go. Let's see if my magic. Okay. So you can see how it starts here. It starts with getting started, building a team, finding mentors. Week 1 is ideation. Week 2 is code and business. Week 3 is code and business. Week 4, code business market. So you see how it just keeps adding up. And the thing is, if you aren't keeping up, then it will start to pile up a bit much. But in here with these 4 different sections of ideation, code, business, and marketing and pitch, there's the UX UI, writing the business plan, etc., and of course the market analysis and things of that sort. So it is a very well organized curriculum. So you don't have to worry about what am I doing this week. It can tell you what you're doing. So as if you're a coaching mentor, it does give you guidelines. It does help you to plan ahead. And I think that's really about it. Is there any other questions?
No, that was very helpful.
Okay. And again, I'm sure that there might be that 3 in the morning, like, oh yeah, that kind of moment. Feel free to email, don't call at 3 in the morning. But feel free, if you come up with any questions, to show up, to contact me if you have any issues. But again, there's that November 4th App Inventor workshop, and you can find information on our site and the registration link. And of course, the kickoff is now set for Log Me In, December 9th. Also happens to be during Computer Science Education Week and Admiral Grace Hopper's birthday. So, and really encourage anybody, especially kids, but anybody who may be vaguely interested, want to check it out, definitely come by, because it's a fun event, and it's supposed to, answer a lot of questions and get people in the mood, get people, jazzed about doing it. And generally, if they go to this event, they end up doing it because it looks exciting. And even if you have some reticent folks who don't want, or kids who don't want to do it, I always encourage them to go to the showcase at the end so we can keep in contact, because once the kids go to the showcase, then they definitely want to do it. Because when you see it, actually, let me bring up on the back side of the sheet that you can download from our site are a whole bunch of links of interest. So we have various articles on Technovation on the Mass TLC site. And you can also see photos from last year's showcase, which will get you an idea of what's going on there. But a lot of different things of interest, like right there. Okay. If that's it, any other questions? Last call for questions.
No, very informative one. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to thank you all for attending, and I'm going to jump off. And I hope to see you at one of the events, either, if not November 4th at the workshop, hopefully at the kickoff on December 9th. Okay? And feel free to contact me with any further questions. Thank you, and have a very good day.